Hello, everyone, and welcome to Real Watchers. The rebrand has finally happened. This is our first ever live stream, so we'll just go ahead and put it out there. Put up with us. We might have a couple issues as we're getting used to the software, but thank you so much for joining us on this very first episode. It's going to have a little bit of a different structure than our podcast did, Adrian. If you want to talk a little bit about what we're going to be looking forward to as Real Watchers goes on.
Sure, yeah, this is going to be the format moving forward. We're going to be a live kind of bringing you the news type of show. So every episode, every week on Tuesdays at around this time, we will give you kind of what's come out the previous week, basically up till the Sunday, and then also what to look forward to coming this weekend and anything else going on in the movie industry. So kind of be a one-stop shop kind of thing. I think that's what we're kind of trying to do here. And the idea of being live is to kind of chat and hang out with you guys as you join and kind of just keep it casual.
That's absolutely right. And we know there are going to be chats, hopefully, that show up. So we'll leave those till the very end. If you have any questions, we'll treat it kind of like every week. We'll do like an Ask Me Anything, any kind of topic you guys want to talk about. We'll have a little bit of time afterward where we can do that. We will get to any questions or comments at the end, as this is going to be recorded as a YouTube video as well. So thank you for your patience. We will see your comments. So, Adrian, you did say news is going to be the most important thing that 100%. We kind of talk about. So let's go ahead and dive right into it with our first story that we're going to be talking about today. And that,
it's me.
There you go. Our first story in the newsroom today, that is Marvel's upcoming film, The Marvels, starring Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and the as of yet unnamed Monica Rambeau character, has been delayed to November 10th. Now, this was the third movie coming out from Marvel this year. We just had Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, followed by Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 in May, and this has been pushed back to November. So that is, in fact, the first big story to talk about today.
Yeah, I think, I don't know how much I anticipate this movie, so this delay didn't really, hugely alter my movie-going experience for the year, but we have seen a lot of push-outs kind of from Marvel just in general, and I know there's a lot of stuff that happened during COVID that caused delays, but kind of par for the course at this point, nothing too shocking.
Yeah, and I think part of this might also be just kind of a tepid or maybe lukewarm response to Ant-Man, and kind of maybe lowering or declining interest in the MCU has maybe pushed this out a little bit. It could also just be a myriad of different things. Obviously, the studios don't tell us anything. It might just also be to space it out.
Yeah, I could also definitely see that being a kind of lukewarm, or this being a retroactive response to Ant-Man being received kind of poorly. Not fully poorly, just kind of really in the middle. Just kind of a movie.
I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, the fan reaction seems to be a little bit better than the critic reaction is, but obviously, I thought the reaction to Thor: Love and Thunder was pretty good when it came out, and then I saw that it soured over time. So it could get better over time, or it could get worse.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, my opinion is I thought that it's really nice to have a villain that's kind of on par. I know this is the big Thanos equivalent villain. Really nice to see that. Writing, bit lackluster throughout the entire film. Kind of leaves you wanting more for sure.
Gotcha. Well, I have yet to see it. I'm actually probably going to go see it tomorrow night or whatever night ends up being best for me. So we'll have to let you know what we think maybe next week. But let's go ahead and move on to our next big story.
Yeah,
Adrian,
speaking of Marvel, Disney has already crossed $1 billion at the box office in 2023, specifically due to Avatar 2 and Ant-Man being obviously extremely high grossing, just Marvel as a Marvel film in general, and then Avatar 2 actually crossing into third in the highest box office claim of all time, passing Titanic. Just pretty outstanding year so far for Disney. I don't know how they can complain.
Yeah, I mean, this is even before some of their biggest releases come out this year. I mean, Ant-Man and the Wasp is no small release for sure, but you also have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and the Marvels, but you also have The Little Mermaid coming out this year. You have Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. You have these huge tentpole releases from Disney coming out this year. It might be one of the biggest years ever
Yeah, I
because of
wouldn't
that
be
help from Avatar.
surprised to see them cross 2 billion. I mean, I feel like they normally do around this number in Q4. The fact that they're already here is going to be a pretty shocking number at the end.
Yeah, really excited to see what's going to end up coming from that. But let's go ahead and move on to our third story for the day. Third story is some big news out of the BAFTAs, the British Film Awards. All Quiet on the Western Front has won 7 BAFTA awards, including Best Picture. And now All Quiet on the Western Front is the film that has won the most awards, or the most BAFTAs for a single film in the award show's history, which is pretty huge. Usually the BAFTAs are pretty spread out from my recollection and my memory. But kind of seeing this many awards be showered on this film is really crazy, and especially because it's a German film. It's not even a British one.
Yeah, no, I think it's really awesome to see. I love recognition kind of being spread around, and I'm actually all for it. If a movie's good and deserving, I don't really care if it wins all the awards. I'm happy to see it. I think it deserves it, and I'm grateful for it. I think it's good to see growth from pretty much any academy, and the BAFTAs seem to be doing pretty well with spreading the love.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's really making this whole situation with this award season very different. Things are winning out of nowhere, and it's been pretty chaotic to follow. So should it be pretty exciting to see what ends up happening at the Oscars.
Yeah. And speaking of the kind of already mentioned, but huge news, and we'll focus more on it here, is that Avatar: The Way of Water, is now the third highest grossing film of all time at 2.24 billion as of checking just a minute ago, officially surpassing Titanic, basically about to nestle itself right under its younger brother or older brother, Avatar 1, which would mean James Cameron has the 2 top spots, which is pretty impressive.
I mean, he's got 3 of the top 5, and I think that's just impressive anyway. And now I'm going to ask you a question, Adrian. Did you honestly see this coming? Did you see the second film being this successful?
Yes. If you look back at our previous Drive Back podcast episodes, this was brought up multiple times, and I know that you were kind of a there's no way person in regards to how successful this would be, and I held true the whole time that there's no way that people cannot go see this movie. It's too much hype around it. There's too much at stake. It's too much of it's the tentpole of tentpole movies. We've been waiting 13 years for it. I just knew that there was no way we would not see this result. And it seems like every week I'm getting articles that say that it's a box office flop, and I just don't know how that is happening.
And I think the only way you could read into it that way is that it's kind of not really, but like it's made way less money here in the States than it has everywhere else in the world.
And that's, I think what people are seeing for sure.
Yeah, and I think we're kind of over it here, maybe, but I think it has worldwide appeal, which, you got to take that into consideration when you're doing this kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have trouble understanding how it's doing so well when they look and their friends aren't going to see it, or they've seen it once. Like, who's paying to go see this? But the world's a big place, and a lot of people are paying to see it.
And I believe that's without a China release, or maybe it does have a China release. I don't know for certain. I haven't been following it that closely, but it would be interesting if it's without it, because the reason why the first one did so well is because it did release in China. So
yeah, I want to say it is, but if it isn't, that would be crazy.
But let's go ahead and move on to similar news. No, I'm just kidding. It has nothing to do with it. We have announced that studio has, that a new Hellboy film entitled Hellboy the Crooked Man has been announced. We have news that it's going to be one of the 2 directors of the Crank films is going to be taking this one on, which I don't know. I mean, I haven't been following that man's career too much, so I don't know if it's going to be a good or a bad choice. I'd be interested to see if they're going to pick a new Hellboy, or if they're going to pick David Harbour again. I know a lot of people didn't like Hellboy 2019. I have it in my kind of guilty pleasures list.
Yeah, definitely.
It's fun to watch for me. I know it's terrible. It's not great, but it's just fun to watch. So I'm excited to see this, though, because it's based apparently off of one of the most popular comic runs in Hellboy's history, and is being written by the creator of Hellboy. So this actually has direct involvement.
Yeah, I think it's always good to have the creator get their hands-on feel with it. So I'm looking forward to it. I didn't see the newest one, mainly because of kind of the mixed reception. But this definitely has me excited again. I really did enjoy the first 2. So I'll check it out.
Hey, I mean, I will gladly take more Hellboy. any day of the week. I just wish we would potentially get it'd be great to get an animated one, maybe more in line with how the comic looks.
Yeah, or even do like a Dante's Inferno kind of style movie. Not necessarily
like an anthology.
Yeah, kind of do something like that. That'd be cool.
It would be cool. Let's move on into the next one here. Adrian, what we got?
Big one, especially if you happen to catch Garrett picking his favorite movie of all time, but the Directors Guild of America of the year. Directors Guild of America awarded the Daniels Best Director for Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is huge. Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert. Yeah, I mean, well deserved. I don't think there was really any question that they wouldn't get this of any, like, some sort of recognition. The film's absolutely incredible. I know we both really liked it. It was at the top of both of our lists.
Yeah, for sure. That movie is just absolutely incredible and well deserved for the Daniels. Hopefully this transitions into an Oscar win as well. I mean, we're all rooting for Everything Everywhere All at Once. The little movie that could, for sure. Alrighty, moving right along here. Next up, something I didn't know was even happening, but Zach Galifianakis has been cast in the upcoming live-action Lilo and Stitch remake. Now, to be honest, I have enjoyed most of the live-action remakes. I can find some sort of enjoyment in them. They're not necessarily great films, not nearly as good as their predecessor, but they have something about them that is enjoyable. This one, there is no reason to remake this movie because it looks so much better in animation.
Yeah, and it's also just the concept of it feels like it's based in animation. It's going to be, it feels super unneeded. Zach Galifianakis, I'm assuming he's going to be one of the two aliens that's not Stitch. I forget their names. That's so embarrassing. My girlfriend Cassie's gonna kill me for not knowing their names. But I imagine he's one of those two. But I just don't get it. And honestly, this news hit me like a bullet because I didn't even know this was happening. Like you said, this was like two pieces of information to me at once. Zach Galifianakis is cast, and this movie's coming out, which was shocking.
Yeah, I maybe this was announced at some point, but I don't remember hearing anything about it. So it was kind of just a surprise to be sure. But let's move along into the next story. Adrian, go ahead with it.
Yeah, big news. I really liked this movie. We are getting the unrated cut of Megan later this month on streaming. I'm actually really excited that this isn't coming out on, or like a re-release in theaters, like we've seen kind of a trend be. I feel like that's more of a cash grab. This feels respectable to release it on streaming. If you want to check it out, you can go check it out there. But I'm definitely going to watch it. I really enjoyed the theatrical cut.
Yeah, I still have yet to watch Megan. I might actually watch it tonight because I think it's on one of the streaming networks have. I was worried because I know a lot of people were upset that the film got PG-13 as its rating, and we're like, oh, well, R allows you to go further. Now you have a chance to watch it, and it'll be interesting to do a direct comparison of which version of the film is better.
Yeah, I think this uncut version will be better. I feel like there's stuff that would make this more of a horror film and less of a thriller film that can be done in an R-rated version, and that's what I'm looking for. So I'm definitely gonna watch it for sure. Count me in.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and get into our last story of the day. And that is kind of hitting home for both of us. Apparently, Sony Pictures had a Last of Us film in development at Sony Pictures, set from producer Sam Raimi. I don't know if he was tied to direct as well. But gotta say, Adrian, I'm glad this didn't happen because the show is a masterpiece and would not have been as good.
I think it also, the story, right, a game you spend 60, 80, 100 hours playing, I don't think a movie is enough to encompass the feeling of that. I think the show is doing a much better job of giving you the immersion in the world. And honestly, the casting is amazing. And if you haven't seen The Last of Us show, watch it.
Oh, yeah, 100%. If you have HBO Max, it is a must-watch. Like, must-watch. So
absolutely.
But that's going to bring us to the end of all the news stories we have for this week. Those were the biggest stories from the last 7 days. Adrian, I think we should head over to the trailer park and talk about some trailers.
Transition.
Whoa! Anyhow, we had a lot of trailers that came out over the last week, Adrian. Which one would you say was the most exciting for you?
Yeah, it was actually a tough pick. There was one that I also didn't know was coming out, but the one that I did pick, I did know was coming out, and I'm just excited to get more of it, and that is the John Wick Chapter 4 trailer. I just think this trailer really shows off to me, I don't handle guns very often, but what feels like real close combat gunfighting. Like, I feel there's a lot of close counters and a lot of gun firing and a lot of choreography going on that feels very realistic, and it feels very grounded and tactical. And I'm just really excited for it. I think I've loved all 3 of them so far, and this is looking like it might be the best.
Yeah, super excited to see John Wick Chapter 4, especially with the rumors that it's close to 3 hours long, which
Perfect.
is insane. If it's
Love
the final one, make it bombastic and make it the best it can be. But super excited because there's a lot of good looking guests and other actors appearing in this movie. So
And set
excited.
design, we got a sneak peek of him being in a desert for like towards the end of the trailer. That looks absolutely stunning, and I don't know why they're there, but I'm here for it.
Who knows? Who knows? It is looking fantastic though. So, but as far as any trailers that came out this week that were exciting for me, I'm going to go ahead and pick the one that I didn't know was coming out, and I'm thinking it's the one you were talking about, and that's Tetris, which has Taron Egerton in it, who is a fantastic actor, obviously from the Kingsman films and Rocketman. And I'm excited to see this movie. I don't have Apple TV Plus or whatever it is. I don't own any Apple products, so I don't have it. But it might make me get a trial subscription to check out the movie because it does look pretty fun.
Also, a fun fact, if you guys just look up like Will Smith, Apple TV, he had a movie that came out recently and you can get 3 months for free.
Oh.
He gave out like a code online. You just literally look up Will Smith, Apple TV, and it'll pop up.
He's like, I'm sorry for derailing my own career, but here's 3 months of Apple TV Plus.
Well,
free.
I think they got so concerned that his movie wouldn't be viewed because of that it was like, well, what if it's free? Like, come on, guys.
It's true. It's true. Apparently, that movie wasn't even that good. So yeah. I don't even know. What was it called? Intolerance or something like that? I don't know. Anyhow, yeah, kind of. I didn't know it came out. So, but that's it for Trailer Park. Again, there were a lot of trailers that came out this week. You can see them in the ticker down below. Also, I mean, this didn't even touch on the Super Bowl trailers we got for Guardians of the Galaxy, for The Flash. Which we could probably talk about those if we want to real quick because the Trailer Park was pretty quick this time. But also Fast and Furious 10, which, I mean, that just looks like another Fast and Furious. To be fair, though, I will say Jason Momoa looks like he's having so much fun as that villain, and it kind of makes me want to see it.
Yeah, so I agree, and I probably will see it. Obviously, I do have a weird special place, less of a special place in the recent years for Fast and Furious, but I gotta tell you, watching the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer earlier in the Super Bowl, and then watching this, they look like the same genre of movie. Yeah. Fast and Furious has become a Marvel franchise. There is an FFCU that's going on, and people don't talk about it enough, but it's getting crazy.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens when that movie comes out. So, but also The Flash and Guardians of the Galaxy 3 getting big trailers. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 looking like it is going to be something special, hopefully.
Yeah.
And James Gunn's last Marvel movie ever, probably, because he runs DC Studios now. So, I mean, hopefully they don't close the door on him because James Gunn is a great filmmaker. And The Flash, which that trailer came out and set the internet on fire, which... I appear to be the only person on this planet who didn't think that trailer was that good.
I didn't think it was that good. I am interested for the sake of it being about Flashpoint, like as a whole. Like, I love that comic series, so I'm really looking forward to it. Ezra Miller, I could take it or leave it. Don't really care, especially with all the history. I know this is kind of his last film, so I'm still gonna go see it. Flash being one of my favorite superheroes. Trailer didn't do much for me, but DC trailers tend to not to. I think, and their movies too. So I feel like it's going to be a little hit or miss, but I'll check it out in theaters just for the experience. Specifically on the heels of the Flash scene in the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League when he's running back through time. Yeah. Specifically, that scene gives me hope that this movie can do something cool.
Yeah, and apparently, according to James Gunn, the Flash will reset everything, about the DCU, and we'll course correct into the new version of the DCU that we're getting.
Classic Flashpoint comic book stuff.
Yeah, which is exciting. Hopefully it makes it better. But that is it for Trailer Park. Thank you so much for joining us for that. That is going to bring us into one of my favorite bits, which is going to be Garrett's watch list. Because, hey, that's Adrian. That's not Garrett. Let's go ahead and transition that over correctly. So, as we get back into it, I watch a lot of film, and this is kind of my way to keep up to date on the things that I've been watching, which at the end, I'll go over how you can check and see where I'm posting and things like that. But let's go ahead and dive into the films that I watched over the last week. Real quickly. So the first one I watched is The Woman King, which was one of the Oscar bait movies that was coming out this year, starring Viola Davis. My official thoughts said what could have been a formulaic attempt at awards is actually pretty damn good, with an incredible performance from Viola Davis and its supporting cast. Its only flaw, in my opinion, is that it drags a little bit in its second act, but it makes up for it with a riveting third, and its action could have been shot just a little bit better. If you would like to watch The Woman King, it is available to stream on Netflix right now. Next up was the 1940 film His Girl Friday, starring Cary Grant from back in the day, way back in the day. It is an awesome comedy. While it has some of the troublesome tropes of the time, His Girl Friday is a well-written and acted comedy about journalism that's far funnier than you'd give it credit for. If you'd like to watch it, it is on Amazon Prime. I did give it a 90 out of 100. Next up, the documentary Won't You Be My Neighbor from 2018. This is the documentary about Mr. Rogers and Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. This incredibly touching retrospective documentary about the man who reminded us all that we're as lovable is necessary viewing, if only to remind us that no matter what, we're all special and worthy of love. You can stream it on Netflix. I did give it a 99 out of 100. I haven't teared up that like a movie like that in a while. Next up, we have another documentary, Dear Zachary, a letter to a son about his father. Dear Zachary is one of the most compelling, well-assembled, and emotionally devastating documentaries I've ever seen. Words cannot describe the gut punch that this film gives, and it is an example of how you make a brilliant documentary. I have not felt this angry or this sad or kind of destroyed at a documentary in a very long time. And it's one of those, it's kind of like Requiem for a Dream. You watch it once, then you never touch it again, just because that's the kind of feeling it gives you. That one I did give 100 out of 100, and you can see it on Amazon Prime. Next up is the French animated film The Illusionist, which was nominated for an Academy Award back in 2011. While a beautiful work of art and another reason why dialogue isn't always important in film, The Illusionist can feel a little bit more of a portrait in time as opposed to a full, intriguing story. However, I still did enjoy the film quite a bit, giving it an 81 out of 100, and if you would like to watch it, you do unfortunately have to rent it, and it seems to be only available through YouTube. So, get a little bit of a heads up on that one. Next up, this one's going to be controversial. Skinamarink, the horror film that came out earlier this year. I said that Skinamarink is the scariest, most unsettling film I've ever seen, and it is a masterpiece of the genre of analog horror. While its experimental nature won't land with everyone, I highly recommend checking out to see if it lands with you like it did with me. I know I'm in the minority on this one. I wholeheartedly accept it. I know a lot of people didn't like this movie, but it is the scariest movie I've ever seen. If you'd like to watch it, it is available on Shudder as a Shudder original, and I believe you can rent it in other places. I did give it a 97 out of 100. Next up, Weathering with You. This is the animated film from the same director that did Your Name, which we covered back on our original podcast. While this film is beautifully animated and boasts an incredible cast, the story is a little lacking, and we only feel enough about the characters in its final act. It also has the same problem as Your Name, where it has too many pop music interludes that just kind of show up out of nowhere. Doesn't have nearly as many as Your Name, but did give the film a 79. Still fun, but not nearly as good as Your Name. Here's another controversial one. Song of the South, the 1946 Disney controversial film. We'll just go ahead and get that out of the way. Let's go ahead and just say it now. I gave it a 31 out of 100. Now, this is not for the reason you're thinking. While James Baskett is undeniably great as Uncle Remus, the film is boring. The animation is nowhere near the standard of Disney's other work, and it feels incredibly rough, even before any of the controversial elements. It's just a bad film. I don't care if it. I mean, I have a copy of it, but other than that, I don't care if it erases from existence. Second to last here, we have the original The Terminator. Speaking of James Cameron, bringing him back in from earlier conversation. Went ahead and just rewatched this old classic now that I've started rating films again. And while it's a bit basic by the standards set by Terminator 2, which is one of the best action films of all time, this film boasts great performances by its lead cast, great visual effects for its time, and an overall fun vibe, giving it an 80 out of 100. And this is available to stream on HBO Max, I believe. And lastly, just watched this today while I was on my lunch break, but this is called It's Such a Beautiful Day. It is my personal favorite and personal best animated film of all time. Stick figures are all you need. In the film's short runtime, director Don Hertzfeldt shows us that you don't need extravagance to tell a deeply human and relatable story. It makes you look inward, and it's brilliant. Unfortunately, this is not available to stream or rent anywhere. You will have to buy the Blu-ray on Amazon. So, for anyone interested in seeing what I thought about these and the other films from the podcast and other recreational viewing, you can check out my Letterboxd, which is down below at Garrett_O'Keefe, or go to my blog where I'll have new release films that come out this year, and I'll be reviewing those at GarrettO'KeefeFilm.blogspot.com. Whew, that was a lot of words.
Awesome. Good selection, though. Some stuff that I've been wanting to see and heard about. So nice week of film watching.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because now that I'm not beholden to like certain movies for the podcast, I could just watch whatever I want.
That's so fun.
Mostly going to be good movies, which is kind of like the harsh thing. It's like you're never going to see like, oh, it's a 58, like, unless I just pick something bad.
31 for Song of the South. True,
very true.
I think you like to watch, just in general, you like to watch movies that are like in the mainstream for good or for bad, like things that are talked about and in the zeitgeist just in general, just so that you're caught up on it. So I think we're going to see some good stuff with that segment.
Yeah. And right now I'm trying to go through a lot of the like Letterboxd lists, like their top 250 rated of all time, their top horror movies, their top things like that. So, but Adrian, that's enough for me. Let's go ahead and talk about stuff that's coming out this weekend. Why don't you go ahead and take us through the movies that are going to be coming out on Friday?
Yeah, if you are looking to head to the theater this weekend, there's quite a few things coming out. Some that are kind of unknown that I haven't really heard about, some that I have. So starting with Ambush, a military action adventure movie starring Jonathan Rhys-Meyer and Aaron Eckhart, opens in limited theaters, so you might not be able to see it, but if it is playing near you, definitely check it out. Seems like it's kind of following suit with the trend of military movies that we're getting recently. Following the next is Bunker, a World War I horror movie, also limited selection, but I definitely want to check this one out. It looks pretty thrilling, and I actually don't know if it's playing near me, but I hope it is. The next one is the widely talked about Cocaine Bear. It's finally in theaters, everyone. I know. The Elizabeth Banks directed horror comedy based on true events opens in theaters this Friday, so make sure to go check it out. It's probably in midnight premiere on Thursday, I'd imagine. I don't know if this is going to be a go-see for me, but it is out if it is your cup of tea. Next is God's Time, the genre bender from first-time director Daniel Antibes. Opens also limited on Friday. Lots of limited movies this weekend. Very interesting. Hopefully you live near one of these theaters that shows kind of more limited films. Following, we have Jesus Revolution. This, based on a true story film about hippies in the 70s, also opens in limited theaters. Then we have Juniper, the drama starring Oscar nominee Charlotte Rampling, also opens to limited theaters on Friday. Then we have Linoleum, the new Jim Gaffigan's comedy drama, which I love Jim Gaffigan. All of his stand-ups are very funny, and he's a pretty good actor too when it comes to like drama, comedy style movies. And this one also opens in limited theaters. So basically, good luck seeing any movies this weekend. We also have Luther, The Fallen Son. I'm also very excited about this. I was a big fan of the TV series Luther. So this is kind of the follow-up to it, starring Idris Elba. It comes out directly on Netflix on Friday, so you can just stream that one or borrow a friend's account if you need to, while you still can. Then we also have Mummies, the animated family film about mummies living in London. Opens in all theaters on Friday. And then last but not least is My Happy Ending, a comedy drama starring Andy McDowell and that opens to all theaters this Friday as well. A couple of gems in there, a lot of limited releases. If you have the chance to go see any of them, I would. It does look like a good slate coming. Just might be hard to find some of them.
Yeah, the problem is that like most weekly releases, you only get one, maybe two movies that come out in wide release, and everything else comes out in limited. So it's kind of hard sometimes, especially for in areas that aren't LA, San Francisco, New York, maybe like Austin, Texas. It's a little hard to sometimes see these, but it's all right. Let's go ahead and jump into the box office figures for the last weekend. We'll go ahead and get those on a ticker at the bottom. Number one, no shocker here, but Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania brought in $105 million over President's Day weekend. Not too big of a shock there, Adrian. I don't think that's taking over the first slot. So, not too bad there. Number two, Avatar: The Way of Water bringing in $6.5 million. That seems like the lowest amount it's brought in so far. But when you got another Disney movie opening up.
And it's also been in theaters since December. So the fact that it's still even bringing in higher than some of these other movies is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. I'm actually very interested to see what the viewership numbers are going to be on Disney Plus when that comes out.
Yeah,
that'll be very interesting. In third place, we have Magic Mike's Last Dance, bringing in $5.5 million. I believe at one point you said you were looking forward to this movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it seems to have snuck up on me, though, and come out when I didn't realize it.
Just like Magic Mike does, baby.
But I do want to see this. I am a fan of the previous two. I know that there's a lot of stigma around what they're about, but they're actually just very good movies in general. Specifically, the first one is a great drama, just kind of surrounded by something that people don't always feel comfortable with. But if you do feel comfortable watching it, I highly recommend it. I will be seeing this third movie.
Hey, there you go. By himself in a lonely theater. That's the way you got to do it.
And I may or may not be wearing pants. I did buy out the whole theater. That's my deal.
That's where the 5.5 million came from.
Yeah,
that's the whole theater. Bought out every single showing in the United States. In number four, we have Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. This animated sequel to a movie that everyone forgets about exists, is doing surprisingly well and is holding on. Getting
Who was
a lot
forgetting that Puss in Boots came out?
I mean, I honestly forgot that was a movie.
That's insane.
I don't know. But it's holding on strong. It's been out for almost a month now, and it's been getting Oscar nominations and other animated awards. So, hey, good for Puss in Boots.
It also, I mean, it kind of still is, but it's also been known for rivaling Avatar: The Way of Water.
Yeah.
It definitely hit headlines for its opening weekend, surpassing Avatar 2 just for like that week. It's definitely supposed to be a really good movie.
Yeah, 100%. And at number five, we have Knock at the Cabin, bringing in $4 million this past weekend, which I still have yet to see this movie. I heard it was kind of a mixed response when it came out. Did you to see it?
No, I do want to see it, though. This does look like it might have the twist that M. Night Shyamalan's known for. I have my own theory on what it already is, but it does seem like it's ripe for having a twist like that, which I'm always down for.
I'm sure it's got some sort of twist in there. But that's it for the box office standings from the weekend. You can see who was in first, second, third, fourth, and fifth place. But all that aside, we're moving on. Adrian, what are you currently watching right now? What's picking at your brain every single day you're watching something?
Yeah, not too many movies on my list right now. I am watching quite a few shows. I'm watching F1 Drive to Survive on Netflix. Highly recommend it. It's a kind of a unique sport. It's really, really interesting. There's tons of politics around F1. Super small, main driver group, so really easy to get to know everybody. And the show's concept is actually F1. So the season happens for F1, and then the show comes out later of the previous year. So it's all real footage, real racing, real money, real politics, all that stuff. And it's really, really good. It's shot like the movie Rush, if you've ever seen that. So that's really good. Highly recommend. I'm also, of course, just like everybody else here, most likely, and if you're not, you should be watching The Last of Us on HBO Max. Absolute masterpiece of just every aspect of filmmaking, and it's amazing. Can't recommend it enough. Also watching The Bachelor this season. It's full of drama as always, and some of it's pretty dumb, but it's always entertaining. Have it with a glass of wine. And then last but not least, also watching White Lotus Season 2. Just giving that a start. We just finished White Lotus Season 1. Very good. I don't quite understand the full hype of kind of why it's winning all these awards, but it is good. I will give it that.
Well, there you go. And actually, I don't know if you know this, but the hotel manager from season 1 played Frank in Last of Us Episode 3.
I did. Yeah, and he does very good in White Lotus as well. Very different character.
Yeah, that's from what I've heard. But
well, actually, not super different, but I mean, definitely some
enough
like
different.
Yeah.
Let's last up here. As far as what I'm currently watching, Adrian, I'm in the same boat as you. I am watching The Last of Us. It is honestly, it's the best show on TV right now. It's probably the best show we've had in quite a while. And it's one of HBO's best shows they've had in quite a while. Also, I'm going to go ahead and shout out 2 movies that are coming up next on my watch list. Number 1 is the classic horror film Rosemary's Baby, which I have never seen, which has been quite exciting to watch. Also is the Japanese horror film House, which is kind of an artsy art house horror film, very highly regarded in the horror community.
That's on Netflix, right? I feel like I've seen that.
It might be. I did actually end up starting a trial subscription to Criterion Channel today, which is
nice.
available on there as well. So
yeah, that's like a multi-threaded story, right? Like it's animated, right?
Nah, kind of. It looks batshit insane.
Yeah, I feel like
you might be thinking of The Wolf House,
no.
which is a little bit different. But
Yeah,
maybe I'll show you the trailer after this, and you'll be like, "What the fuck are you going to watch, Garrett?" But that is going to be the end. That's everything we got for this week's Real Watchers episode. Thank you so much. If any of you have joined us in the audience, we did hit actually higher numbers than I was expecting we did. So thank you so much for tuning into this. If you have any questions or anything you want to say, make sure you type them in the chat. We would love to get to those after we are done here. Adrian,
if you're watching it after we close out, comment on the actual video and we'll make sure to reply to you there. So if you're looking for whatever the equivalent of Reddit karma is here on YouTube, go ahead and drop down there. We'll give you an upvote.
Yes, but please do like, comment, subscribe. We have a slew of new content coming. Obviously, we have the Real Watchers show, this one every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific time, where we will go ahead and talk about movie news, movie reviews, such like that. Also have a lot of awesome stuff in the pipeline, some top 10 lists, some more video essay type stuff, tier lists. We got all kinds of things that we want to get to because we love movies, Adrian. We really do.
We do.
That's why we're here. I mean, hey, it's kind of hard to tell, right? But thank you so much for joining us for this first very special episode of Real Watchers. We'll be back next week at Tuesday at 8 p.m. here on YouTube and on our Twitch channel. We're not going to leave out Twitch. We are live there too. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week. All righty, and do we have any comments? I know we had one that came in from Twitch. Gotta love those spam messages. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and bring him up here on the screen.
Oh gosh.
From Sunlit Chessboard. Hi, I want to offer promotion of your channel. Viewers, followers, views, chatbots. The price is lower than any competitor. The quality is guaranteed to be the best. Auto on. I love it when things are auto on, you know what I mean? Incredibly flexible and convenient order management panel. Holy crap, man. I love how you're making it easy. Everything is in our hands. Well, Adrian, damn, it's in our hands. Turn it off and customize, and go ahead to dogehive.com.
No way.
Hey, if that doesn't read like that reads like a fucking copy pasta, dude. Like, what did you just say to me? I'm a Marine. Well, thank you for the comment either way. It's on the chessboard. It doesn't matter. I like getting some engagement anyway. But it looks like we have a couple watchers on Twitch and on YouTube. Hopefully you all had fun with us as we talked about some movies and news and stuff. Gonna be here every week, unless something happens. Which
then only one of us will be here, and then if something really bad happens, we both won't be here, and you'll know that somehow something went awry.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's awry is certainly a word for it. But awesome. So yeah, Adrian, like anything else you want to talk about while we're here? We're live on the air. You know, I mean, we could talk episode 6, The Last of Us. I mean, like that.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, never mind.
Only watched the 5 of them. So
all right. Well, episode 6 is good. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. It kind of Sunday snuck up on me. I didn't realize it was already out.
To be fair, I think I was at home, and usually I log into HBO right at 6 to watch it, and I think it hit like 7:30, and I was like, oh wait, it's Sunday. So I don't know. That'll be kind of, I think it ends the week, maybe the week after the Oscars or the week of the Oscars. I don't know. Which means I'm going to have to choose which one to watch.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, the Oscars.
They'll probably push it just like they did for the Super Bowl.
That would be the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, because they're going to be like, hey, we don't want to interrupt any more potential slap videos that are going to be coming out of this.
Of course.
So, but yeah, well, you know what? I think that's pretty much it. We've been live for 40 minutes there, Adrian. Awesome first episode.
Yeah.
Hey, you wanna do it again next week?
Sounds like a plan to me.
Sounds like a date. Let's go. Alrighty. Thank you everyone for joining us. If you're watching, if you're being quiet out there, thank you so much for joining us. We love you so much. We'll see you next week.